The Lavender Keeper, a calm sleep story from the English countryside. A veil of mist drifted across the Yorkshire hills as Evelyn Hart discovered a silver key buried beneath a patch of lavender that had never grown in her fields before. The blossoms shimmered beneath the fading twilight, as though moonlight had been woven into their petals. The moment her fingers touched the key, the old church bell rang across the valley, despite the bell tower having stood silent for decades. Then, far beyond the sea of purple blooms, a lone figure appeared for the briefest instant, and vanished. That night, the scent of lavender lingered unusually strong in the air. Evelyn lived alone in a weathered stone cottage that had belonged to her family for generations. She knew every lane, every hedge, and every rolling hill surrounding the village of Ashcombe. Yet the strange field of lavender she had seen that evening had never existed before. The silver key remained cold even when placed beside the fire. Close to midnight, footsteps echoed outside her window. Slow, measured, circling the cottage. When Evelyn pulled back the curtain, no one was there. Only the lavender swaying beneath the moonlight. Then she saw something that made her breath catch. In the middle of the field stood an old wooden door. No walls, no building, no path leading to it. Just a solitary door standing beneath the stars. And slowly, silently, it began to open. The following morning arrived beneath a sky painted with soft grey clouds drifting lazily over the English countryside. Yet Evelyn's thoughts were anything but peaceful. The mysterious door had vanished with the dawn. She searched the exact place where it had stood. There were no footprints, no marks in the earth, no sign that anything unusual had happened at all. Only endless rows of lavender dancing in the breeze. Still, something felt different. The birds that normally greeted the morning remained silent. Even the bees seemed reluctant to visit certain corners of the field. An uneasiness settled quietly in her chest. Ashcombe was a village rich with old stories, but most people treated them as harmless folklore. Hoping for answers, Evelyn visited the tiny church library tucked behind the village square. There, hidden among dusty shelves, she discovered an old journal written by a parish priest in 1847. One page contained a sketch. A silver key, identical to her own. Beneath the drawing were the words, "Only the Lavender Keeper may open the path when the flowers bloom out of season." The title meant nothing to her. Lavender Keeper, who were they, and why had she never heard of them before? As she turned the page, she noticed several sections had been carefully removed. Someone had deliberately torn away part of the story. Curiosity soon led her to Arthur Whitmore, the oldest resident of Ashcombe. Arthur lived in a small cottage near the cliffs overlooking the valley. His hair was white, his hands trembled slightly, but his memory remained remarkably sharp. The moment he saw the silver key, the color drained from his face. "That should never have appeared again," he whispered. Evelyn leaned forward. "What does that mean?" Arthur glanced toward the window before speaking. Long ago, according to village legend, there existed a hidden garden suspended between the waking world and the world of dreams. A place known simply as the Lavender Garden. Its guardian was called the Lavender Keeper. Their duty was neither power nor magic. It was balance. They protected the memories that deserved to be cherished while guiding others gently into rest. But centuries ago, the last keeper disappeared. The gate to the garden closed. And the path was forgotten. Or so everyone believed. Arthur explained that every few generations, lavender would bloom beyond its season. Whenever it happened, it meant the path wished to be found again. Evelyn listened carefully. The story sounded impossible, yet the key resting in her pocket felt undeniably real. "Who was the last keeper?" she asked. Arthur hesitated. Then he answered, "Eleanor Hart." Evelyn froze. Hart was her family name. Eleanor was her great-great-grandmother. Without another word, Arthur retrieved a small wooden box from a shelf. Inside was an old black and white photograph. A young woman stood smiling in the middle of a lavender field. She looked astonishingly like Evelyn. On the back of the photograph, faded handwriting remained visible. "If the flowers bloom again, the path will call for my bloodline." At that very moment, the church bell rang across the valley. Once, twice, 3 times. Far too early for any service. Arthur slowly turned toward the window. His expression changed. Outside, thick mist was rolling upward from the valley floor. And standing within that mist was a solitary figure watching the house. Waiting. The figure remained perfectly still. Mist flowed around it like pale water around a stone. Evelyn rushed outside, but by the time she reached the lane, the stranger had vanished. Only scattered lavender blossoms remained on the damp grass. That night, strange dreams found her. She wandered through a vast garden bathed in silver moonlight. Stone paths twisted between endless fields of lavender. At the garden's center stood an enormous glass house. From somewhere inside came the voice of a woman calling her name. Each time Evelyn approached, she woke before reaching the door. The dreams returned again and again. Then, while searching her cottage attic, she uncovered something unexpected. Hidden beneath old blankets and forgotten trunks was a map. It showed Ashcombe, but there were roads marked upon it that did not exist. One winding route ended at the symbol of a door. The very same door she had seen in the field. Written in the corner were the words, "Follow the bells when the moon reaches its highest point." Days passed. Then came the full moon. Shortly before midnight, the bells rang again. Not from the church, from somewhere beyond the fields. Evelyn took her lantern and followed the sound. Fog curled across the countryside. The scent of lavender grew stronger with every step. And then she saw it. The wooden door had returned. Standing alone among the flowers. This time it was already open. Beyond the threshold waited only darkness. She stepped closer, closer still. Then a woman's voice whispered directly behind her. "Evelyn, do not enter alone." She spun around. No one was there. When she looked back toward the doorway, a pale hand was slowly reaching out from the darkness. Fear rooted Evelyn to the spot. The hand seemed real, thin, pale, motionless in the moonlight. Then its owner stepped through the doorway. Not a monster, not a ghost, an elderly woman wrapped in a lavender-colored cloak. Sadness lingered in her eyes. "I have been waiting for you," she said softly. Her name was Beatrice. She claimed to be the last guardian of the hidden garden before the Hart bloodline lost its way. According to her, the garden truly existed. Yet something inside it had begun to unravel. For decades, the gate had remained closed. Without a keeper, memories that should have been gently laid to rest became trapped between worlds. Over time, they transformed into wandering shadows. Lost, searching, unable to move on, Beatrice handed Evelyn an ancient journal belonging to previous keepers. Within its pages appeared the name Eleanor Hart. Near the end, Evelyn found a warning. Never seek the glass tower before finding the mist sower. As she continued reading late into the night, she discovered an unsettling sketch. The face belonged to the mysterious figure she had repeatedly seen in the fog. Beneath it were two words. "The Forgotten Keeper." Then came 3 sharp knocks against her window. Her bedroom was on the 2nd floor. Yet someone, or something, was outside. The knocking continued. Slow, steady, unnatural. When Evelyn approached the glass, the sound stopped instantly. Outside, fog swallowed the fields. Then words appeared upon the window, written in silver condensation. "She is lying." The message vanished moments later. Doubt quietly took root. Over the following days, similar warnings appeared everywhere. On mirrors, in dreams, across wet soil after rainfall. Each carried the same message. Do not trust Beatrice. Unable to ignore the signs, Evelyn began searching for the mysterious figure known as the Mist Sower. Her journey led beyond Ashcombe to a forgotten valley hidden between steep hills. There stood the ruins of an ancient stone tower wrapped in ivy and silence. Inside, faded murals covered the walls. Lavender flowers, silver moons, and symbols she did not understand. At the heart of the ruin stood a cracked mirror. As Evelyn approached, her reflection changed. The face staring back belonged to Eleanor Hart, her ancestor. "Part of the story has been hidden from you," Eleanor said. Beatrice was never the last keeper. Evelyn's heart pounded. "What happened?" "The garden was sealed for a reason," Eleanor replied. Before she could explain further, fractures spread rapidly across the mirror. Cold darkness seeped from beneath the floor. The air grew heavy. Then a figure emerged within the shattered reflection. A man dressed in dark robes. His eyes were empty as a moonless sky. "The gate must never be opened," he said. The tower trembled violently. Stone cracked. Shadows surged upward. And suddenly everything disappeared into darkness. Evelyn awoke within the garden from her dreams. The lavender garden. Moonlight spilled across endless fields of violet blooms. In the distance stood the glass tower. Real, waiting. Along the road toward it wandered living memories. Laughing children, elderly couples, fragments of forgotten lives drifting through silver fields. They were not ghosts. They were memories that had never found peace. Beatrice appeared beside her and finally revealed the truth. The missing keeper had never been a villain. He had once been a protector. His name was Aldrich. Long ago, grief consumed him after losing those he loved. Unable to bear the pain of loss, he tried to preserve every memory forever. The garden became a prison. The keepers fought. The gate shattered. And Aldrich disappeared. Yet he had never truly left. Now he sought to close the boundary forever. If he succeeds? Evelyn asked. Beatrice gazed across the endless lavender. The world will forget itself. Together they journeyed toward the glass tower. But when they reached its entrance, Beatrice suddenly stopped. Hanging beside the door was a silver lantern. Eleanor Hart's lantern. It could only be there if someone had found it first. Someone who should have died centuries ago. The glass tower rose into the heavens like a shard of frozen moonlight. Its transparent walls reflected countless versions of the past. As Evelyn climbed higher, memories surrounded her. Her childhood, her parents, moments she thought were gone forever. Aldrich understood humanity's deepest weakness. He did not attack with force. He tempted with longing. Each memory invited her to stay. To remain forever in what had already passed. Beatrice struggled as well. Old sorrows called to her from every corridor. At the tower's summit, Aldrich waited. He was neither cruel nor monstrous. Only deeply tired. His eyes carried centuries of grief. "I only wanted to save them," he said. Around him floated countless preserved memories. Frozen moments. Untouched by time. For the first time, Evelyn understood. This was never a battle of magic. It was a battle between holding on and letting go. As the tower began to crack beneath the strain of opposing forces, Evelyn discovered a hidden chamber. Inside rested a glowing lavender seed. The original gift of the keepers. The key to restoring balance. But using it would erase the garden as it existed now. It would mean saying goodbye to every memory trapped within. Including the chance to see loved ones again. The tower shook violently. Glass splintered. The decision could not wait. Wind swept across the summit. Fragments of crystal drifted through the air like falling stars. On one side stood Aldrich with his kingdom of memories. On the other rested the glowing lavender seed. Evelyn held it tightly. She thought of voices now silent. Faces she missed. Moments that could never return. Sorrow lingered. Yet something deeper emerged. Memories were never meant to be imprisoned. They were meant to guide us for a while. Then be released with love. Beyond the tower, the first light of dawn touched the horizon. The lavender field swayed gently below. As though the entire garden was waiting. Watching. Holding its breath. And as sunlight finally reached the seed, the fate of the lavender garden rested in Evelyn's hands. Herb sparkles.